Story 1. I am 35, am very unattractive, and have made peace with being alone. My friends, FM30S, won't give up on trying to set me up with someone. What do? Hey everybody, I'm hoping to get some advice on my current predicament between myself and my friends Sam and Sarah. You see, I'm very unattractive. I don't mean that as a put down on myself, but an objective fact about my appearance. I have a very naturally unappealing face with several body scars that make me difficult to look at for some people. I've had most of these scars most of my life, and of course I was born with my face, so I've never been much to look at. I have tried to compensate in other aspects of life. I have a decent job, I'm tall, and I'm in very good shape. I go to the gym and eat well. Sadly, this is far from enough to make up for how I look. I have had very few relationships and only one sexual partner, though I'd prefer it had never happened after the fact, though I certainly tried. Put myself out there for years and was rejected by dozens of women before meeting one that I thought would be able to look past my appearance. I lost my virginity to her and everything, but after a month she came to my place crying and saying, though she found me attractive as a person, she couldn't get over my appearance and had felt terrible. She confessed sex with me was extremely difficult the 2 times we did it due to how I looked. I told her I understood, and we went our separate ways. I'd have been happier if we'd been friends and never dated, if I'm being honest. That was several years ago, and I swore off romantic love and sex since it was just hurting me. Life has been pretty good since I gave up. Wish I wasn't what I am so I could find love, but I get it. I made some great friends, Sam and Sarah. Been friends with them for a few years now, and we get along great. The only issue is that they are in relationships and have this fantasy about going on triple dates with me included. Problem is, of course, I don't date, and so they have been trying to play matchmaker. There have been probably 7 or 8 attempts now to get me with some friend or acquaintance of theirs, ranging from being blindsided with a date when I thought I'd just be there with them, or inviting girls to parties and trying to get us together all night. I hate it. I feel bad for these girls because obviously they weren't told about this either. And now they have to play nice with the weird, ugly guy their friends dumped them on. Not only that, but there is this look in their eyes that I'm sadly used to now. It's a combination of sadness and fear that overcomes them when we make eye contact. I can feel them looking at every mark on my face, getting more and more grossed out and uncomfortable. Of course they're scared. This 6'6" man who looks like Frankenstein's monster has become your date for the night. I'd be scared too. I tell them every time not to set me up as I don't want a date, but they get so excited to finally find the one for me that they do it anyway. So backstory aside, I keep telling Sam and Sarah to stop setting me up. And last week they came over to hang out, and Sarah kept mentioning this friend of hers from work and starts showing me pictures. I see where this is all going, and when I find out they invited her to Sam's party in a few weeks, I say cool, I look forward to meeting her, but this isn't a date, and I won't be letting them push me onto the poor girl. She's cute, and from what they tell me, I'm sure we'd get along great if I were normal, but that just isn't the case. Sarah begins to get upset at me and asks me why I won't just give her a shot, so I asked if this girl had even seen a picture of me or heard about me. She admitted that she had not, and hadn't planned on showing her my pic or even telling her about me until the night of the party. I'll admit I snapped and told both of them to stop playing matchmaker. I was sick of it and showed them texts from 2 of the girls they victimized. They were kind enough to tell me they liked me but weren't physically attracted to me. Showed the texts, and Sarah and Sam made an excuse and left. Haven't heard from them in a week. How can I fix this? I've made my peace with the fact that I will never know romantic love, but I need friends. TLDR. I am ugly. Don't want to date anyone. Friends keep playing matchmaker and subjecting poor, unsuspecting women to my appearance. Some of OOP's comments. Show us a pic of yourself. The last person I trusted to show my pic sent it to her group chat to laugh at me. I don't like putting it out there anymore. Sorry. Commenter, if your friends did show your pics, would you agree to the matchmaking then? OOP. Part of me wants to say I would, but after having the last relationship end the way it did, I'd rather not risk it. Commenter, This isn't a joke or meant to be mean, but maybe someone who is visually impaired would be able to appreciate the real you. I think you sound cool. Best wishes. OOP. I considered this at one point, but then she has to deal with potential harassment over being the blind or visually impaired girl who settled for the ugly guy. Or I'm seen as the beast that took advantage of her. I'm not putting some poor innocent girl through that. Commenter. If you don't want to date, that's fine, but it's no more your place to decide for that potential woman what she has to deal with than it is your friend's place to decide that you'd be happier in a relationship. You don't need to justify your decision to stay single so it makes it sound like you're trying to be some sort of hero saving someone from… what? Loving you and being happy with you? You should be single because that's what you… not because that's what you think others want. OP. I've seen what being with me physically does to a woman. It broke the only woman unfortunate to have sex with me. I just can't do that to another person. I've hurt enough people. Commenter. If I were normal. A combination of sadness and fear that overcomes them. Poor unsuspecting women. Frankenstein's monster. 2 of the girls they victimized. Please, dude, get some help. These comments about yourself are very unkind and very unnecessary and very extreme. This isn't the writing of someone whose life has been pretty good. OOP. I'm not exaggerating. My appearance frightens people. I'm not normal. Commenter, downvoted. Confidence is sexy. You sound depressing to be around. OOP. That's fair. I don't actually talk about this kind of stuff except when I'm telling Sam and Sarah why I don't want them matchmaking me. I don't let my looks bother me when it's just hanging out. It's when they've tried pushing me into these situations that the negativity comes out. One of the top comments, now deleted, "Hey, Sam and Sarah, I'm sorry our last conversation ended the way it did, but I'm not sorry we had it. The unfortunate truth of the matter is you are being incredibly dismissive and disrespectful of my life choices. It is comparable to if I told you I was gay, and you insisted on continuing to set me up with women because you feel you know better than me what I want. It's a shame if my current life choice for myself makes you so uncomfortable that you can't fathom being in my life unless I'm coupled up. That hurts, but if that is how things have to be, then so be it. If me, as I am, a single person who wishes to remain so at this time, is enough for you to still want to be friends with me, then that's great. However, going forward you would have to respect my wishes and my boundaries regarding this issue. I will leave you with that for now, and I hope to hear from you. ETA. So sorry you've gotten so many responses doing the exact same fucking thing your friends do. It sucks to be so dismissed all the time. OOP. Your last paragraph is so appreciated. Thank you so much. Update Post 1. July 29th, 2022. 4 days later. Hey everyone, I figured since posting here the other day ended up being an overall cathartic experience, and since I have a very happy update, I'm back to share. After spending hours reading and responding to users both in thread and in DMs, I decided to reach out to Sam and Sarah and try to set things right. We met up to talk, and to keep it short, Sam and Sarah hadn't reached out because they felt terrible after realizing their mistakes. They were very apologetic, and I promised that as long as they stopped trying to set me up and forgave me for snapping at them, then we were cool with each other. Looks like communication saves the day again. So after our talk, they asked if I wanted to come over and play some games and have a few drinks with them and some of their work friends. Sarah admitted the girl, Laura, that they wanted to set me up with would be there, but that they hadn't said anything to her about me, and there would be no pressure or matchmaking going on, so I agreed to go. So last night I came over for drinks and games. I met Laura, without some stupid blind date pretext, and she's a lovely person. We have several interests in common, and she and I have very similar jobs within different companies, so we have a lot to talk about. It's great they didn't meddle, and I got a new friend. Easy peasy. Heck, we get along so great she's inviting me over to her place tonight to watch some movies we both learned were some of our favorites. Then some pizza and complaining about working in IT. So my social life is alive and well, it seems. That's about it as far as my update is concerned. Sam, Sarah, and I are cool. I made a new friend, and I got to talk to so many wonderful people on Reddit. I want to thank all of you for taking the time to read my post and give me your opinions and advice. There are some really great folks in this community. Heck, I'm still receiving a few messages a day of kindness from you awesome people. TLDR. Friends and I made up, made a new friend, still ugly, very happy. Top comments. Throw RA 1234568. She invited you over for pizza and a movie at her place. I think you have more of a shot than you realize. Spacey, JC. Even if this girl isn't interested, I think this will help you relax and put less pressure on yourself about your looks. Maybe you aren't the most attractive guy, but you seem like an interesting, intelligent person, so just be happy with yourself for your good qualities. Alarming _ Sprinkles 87. I just want to throw it out there. I don't know what you look like and also could not really care less because I've met some ugly people in my life, and I am 300 pounds. Just don't knock yourself down a few notches. I don't give a shit what you look like. You've got a good job, you're safe around women, you're in shape and care about your well-being. You maintain communication and friendships. You have boundaries and realistic expectations, you're respectful. The way you look is the least interesting part of you. Somebody is out there for you and will also recognize that your face is the last interesting part of you. New update post. December 9th, 2024, 2.5 years later. It appears all of my posts are being removed. I'm so sorry. I don't know how to fix this. A few years ago, I came to Reddit to ask about an issue I was having with my friends trying to set me up on blind dates. I have linked those posts above for context. I am physically very unattractive due to various circumstances in my life leaving me scarred, which causes issues in blind dating, as you might guess. I then updated it after we had resolved the issue. The woman they were going to try and set me up with before our argument, Laura, ended up being really cool, and without the pressure of it being a blind date and just us hanging out with a larger group, we clicked and were fast friends. We hung out the night after at her place to watch movies and eat pizza. It was great. We started hanging out more and more as time went on, and eventually she asked me out. I was terrified initially, but decided to go for it. She's not bothered by my scars. She looks at me with kindness and warmth that is indescribably wonderful to me. Laura and I are still together. We got a place together not too long ago, and I intend to propose to her early next year. Sam, Sarah, and I are all still great friends. We now go on those triple dates they always wanted. We even did our first Friendsgiving with them. They're SOS and the kids. Laura loves getting to cook for a house full of guests, and we intend to try and host more group meals now that we have a place with space for it. It wasn't easy, but with a growing support network in Laura and my friends, I was able to finally get some more help for my mental health to work on my insecurities and trauma. Been going for over a year now, and progress is slow, but steady. Laura has been my rock. I love her more than I ever hated myself, so it's been easier than I expected to keep going to therapy appointments. So that's about it. I was in a very dark place, and some kindness from internet strangers helped me through a rough patch, so I wanted to repay them by at least posting an update. Even if most of those people have since moved on, OOP's comments. Commenter, this is such a sweet and heartwarming update. OP, I'm so happy for you and Laura, and I'm glad you're getting help to work through your insecurities. I'm glad you decided to take another shot at love, especially since the pressure of finding it through blind dates was taken off. May you have a great long life surrounded by love and support. Thanks for updating us. OOP. Thank you so much. People were so kind to me when I came here before, and I felt like reaching out when I remembered everything I posted. I was in a very dark place, and I bet I worried some kind-hearted people with all that negative self-talk. Before Laura, I never thought I'd even be allowed to imagine getting to spend my life with someone. Yet here I am, planning a proposal for the woman I love. And she loves me. I'm a lucky man. I'm sorry for rambling. I had to stop myself from going on and on about Laura in the post, and I'm almost doing it here too. Story 2. My 35F husband's 34M dedication to Freemasonry is destroying our marriage and his life. How do I get this across to him? Hi there. Long-time reader, but a first-time poster. The long and short is that for about 6 years now, my husband has been a Freemason, and I've always supported him on this. My grandfather was a Freemason, so it's not really new to me or anything, and I don't believe in any of the conspiracy crap you find online. But I'm starting to think it may not be the best for him. My grandpa always used to say it went family, work, masonry. But in my husband's case, it's more masonry, 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 then family, then work, then masonry again. He attends lodge nearly every night. For context, my grandpa would go a couple times a month. And yet he's only a fellow craft, so not a part of the add-on things like the Scottish Rite or Shriners or anything. I genuinely don't know how he has the stamina for it because I'm a part of an improv theater club, and frankly every other week is enough. Sometimes he's gone for hours, other times an hour or even less. When I ask him what he's doing, he gets defensive and says he can't tell me because he has to maintain secrecy. I knew full well there'd be some lessons and ceremonies I wouldn't exactly be getting a front row seat for, but I don't think it's that unfair I ask what he could be possibly doing that occupies him practically daily. Hell, some days when he comes back early, he goes to his man cave to more work for them. Apparently he's volunteered to do admin work for his Grand Lodge, but when does it end? He doesn't get paid for any of this, and he spends so much on dues to actually do this. I've even tried to get involved via the OES, something I've always wanted to be a part of, but he point-blank shut it down and said that we can only look into that when he becomes a master mason, which is apparently still years away. And it's not even just our marriage it's affecting. Some weeks he's out so late with his lodge buddies he doesn't take care of himself. There's been times he hasn't worn clean clothes or shaved, and plenty of times he's gone into work without showering. Sometimes he doesn't even go into work and just calls in hours late to say he's been called for urgent lodge business. His boss is too good to him and lets it slide because he's genuinely blown away my husbands in the Masons and thinks these meetings must be dead important. I get a lot of these guys are going to be retired, but Jesus Christ, surely they have to know how it works. It's making a bad impression with people, and I genuinely can't remember the last time we did a thing together as a couple. Plus, our bedroom has been dead for at least a year, which I've sort of put up with because I have a low libido, but I guess it's just another symptom. Every time I ask him to do anything, he just tells me he's too tired. I guess how do I get it across to him his Masonic life needs to slow down? It's not even affecting just me. It's affecting our whole lives, but I don't even know where to begin. I don't want him to leave the Masons, just maybe calm it down a little so we have our lives back. How can I get this across to him without seeming that I'm jealous of the secrets, or I want to worsen the wedge between us? BTW. I did actually email the WM his lodge to just say I'm kind of worried for him, but I've not heard back yet, and if they're all this active, not sure how much help he'll be. Thanks for any advice. Edit. WM just emailed me. Apologized for taking his time and explained my husband has not been a member of that lodge for at least 5 years, having left just under a year after he joined. Apparently, he had difficulties with the leadership and had been repeatedly cautioned for soliciting the other lodge members. He told me checked with other lodges in the area, and none of them have any record of him switching, so it seems he demitted entirely. Relevant comment? Skyator. Are you actually sure this is where he's going every night? Or do you think he's cheating? Because honestly, it sounds like cheating. OP. I just can't imagine he'd do that frankly. Furefly 232. He's not in the lodge every night. He's either drinking, doing drugs, or something else like gambling or cheating. Something addictive. Something he's willing to wreck his life over. Please start digging, starting with financials. Where is he spending his money? What do you have access to? Who is he spending time with? Then go to the lodge, join the women's division, find out how often the meetings actually are. OP. I have taken a look at his bank account, and it always goes to something called Starfield Services, but I can't find any information on it, so I just assumed that's what the lodge uses to get their money. Nipnopples. I googled it, and it looks like it's encryption for websites. That's really weird. From their website, our SSL certificates protect a single domain or multiple domains websites. We use strong SHA-2 and 2048-bit encryption that's virtually uncrackable. What SSL is according to Google, an SSL, Secure Sockets Layer Certificate, is a digital file that verifies a website's identity and encrypts communication between a browser and a web server. SSL certificates are used to protect sensitive information like credit card numbers, addresses, and names from being intercepted by hackers. Also, usually a SSL certificate is purchased annually. Seems kind of weird. I'd wonder what he's doing on his devices. OK Newt 4550. Any updates, Op? As a Mason myself, I'm curious to what actually is happening. So far, not much, though. I've spoken with a PM who was the senior warden around the time my husband left. He says he can't remember precisely what the soliciting involved, and it was never too explicitly, but it definitely came across as creepy and invasive, along with lots of weird questions about masculinity. He's going to come round tomorrow, and we're going to discuss it with my husband then. Update December 4th, 2024. Hi, everyone. You might remember this post where I mentioned how Freemasonry, or rather my husband's commitment to it, was destroying our marriage and corroding his life. Well, I apologize to the craft because Masonry had nothing to do with my husband's antics. In my update to the post, I mentioned I had spoken with the current worshipful master, basically the lodge's chair, and he informed me my husband had demitted from that lodge years ago and never joined any others. He did suggest it could be a clandestine lodge, and in a way I hoped this would be the case, but I think we both knew that was highly unlikely. He also ended up putting me through to a past master who was senior warden of the lodge around the time my husband quit, and apparently it was a jumped before he was pushed situation. I did mention my husband was in trouble for soliciting his brothers, but the WM couldn't tell me any more. The PM vaguely remembered it, and while it seems no one was exactly sure what he was soliciting them about, it was described as invasive and strange behavior. Me and the PM, David, might as well use names, had a good long chat before he offered to join me in discussing this with my husband, Kevin, with the hope being we could get through to him and steer him off whatever course he was on. Sadly, I don't have good news. David came round on Monday, and we talked a lot beforehand. Kevin was out of course. Most of our chat was just him being generally supportive, but he did start asking questions that were definitely leading into the clandestine lodge route, though he dropped that as a theory when the lack of self-care became evident. Midway through our conversation, Kevin comes home, and when he comes in, I say there's somebody I'd like him to meet, and he just deflects by saying he's tired from lodge and will have to do it tomorrow. David introduces himself anyway, explicitly as a PM. Kevin ignores him, but then goes through to the kitchen, pours himself a glass of milk, and starts scrolling through his phone at the kitchen table. We went through and sat down at the table, too. So without a word, he got up and went into the living room, so we followed him there, where David said we know he's not attending lodge, because he was the senior warden when my husband left. Kevin does this weird laugh and says, "So it's a crime to move lodges, then?" David says no other lodge in the area took him on, and Kevin goes a little bit red before saying that's because he switched to PHA, and then sort of insinuates David is racist for taking issue with that. David says he spoke to all the PHA lodges in the area too, and he's good friends with a lot of their members, so he knows he's lying again. Kevin just says, "Look, he's tired, he's not doing this, but I told him we know something's up, and well, the majority of you thought it was drugs. So I just said, look, is it drugs?" He said no, but finally admitted yes, there was something up, and asked if he could show us something. Just he needed to go to his car. David said that's fine, we'll come with him. Well, I guess in Kevin's defense he did need to go to his car. In the trunk he got out this black sports bag, and I don't know what I was expecting, but I don't think anything could have prepared me for what he showed us was inside. When we got back into the house, he got out this near lifelike latex horse mask and other leather and latex fetish gear, full suit with harnesses and everything. If you were expecting anything to happen, there wasn't anything. We kind of just stared in total silence. Eventually, Kevin restarted the conversation by explaining he was into a BDSM fetish called pony play, and that he went down the rabbit hole a long time ago. I won't really go into the full details, but long and short is he's clearly been dealing with homosexual feelings and submissive desires for a long time, though he's still in denial about both of them and is adamant he's not bi or gay, 100% straight, etc. Obviously, he's at least, and most probably bi, but he wouldn't hear it. Anyway, he explained when he was really struggling with these feelings, the urge, as he calls it, that's when he joined Freemasonry because he hoped it would prove a distraction, help improve, etc. and then sort of implied being around old men would put him off guys. I could tell David was a bit offended, but he didn't say anything. But yeah, apparently this is what the soliciting was about. Obviously, joining the Masons didn't make these feelings go away, so he said he initially started trying to see if any of them felt those feelings too, but no one would bite. Apparently, midway through, he discovered the pony play rabbit hole on a BDSM website and was utterly hooked. This is when his soliciting went from, "Hey, I'm having these feelings towards guys, this is totally normal, right, brother?" to, "Hey, are you looking to buy a pony, brother?" He claimed he didn't leave because he was being disciplined, but because of how goddamn prudish everyone was. Yeah. Apparently, he was already deep into the hole, and while he'd be attending lodge a couple times a month legitimately, the other times were him doing the BDSM stuff. Apparently it began with escorts, but eventually he graduated to pro-doms because too many of them found it weird or weren't into it enough. There's one main one he goes to the most called Mistress Candy, but when she's busy, he'll go to other ones. And if that's not an option, he'll go find a cheap hotel to self-care or do it with an online mistress. Oh, there's a lot of them apparently, and that was how he got into findoms where the whole thing is. He gives them money for nothing in return. I don't really know how to describe how I felt as this all came out. The shock, the betrayal, the rage, the upset, the hurt. I suppose I feel quite numb now, but none of it could have prepared me for what he did next. David said, "So you've been having an affair then, and using the craft as cover." Kevin got very angry and said he's not been having an affair. This sparked an argument, again won't go into the details, where Kevin's excuse was that at no point was he in control during this, because Mistress Candy made use of hypnosis to control him, and sometimes the urge was so powerful it would shift him into Sparkles, his pony persona, involuntarily. He didn't use this as an example, but I guess it's kind of like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde situation. Again, no remorse or contrition, and he said we can still fix this with couples therapy because apparently I wasn't satisfying his needs. How did he come to that conclusion? Well, I never independently suggested pony play and give him an avenue to open up about it. This is somehow my fault. I won't go into the arguments that followed, but it ended with me packing a bag and David taking me to my parents' place. I've told Kevin I'll be seeking a divorce, something which he's also in denial about, because the marriage is dead. Clearly he values his time playing dress-up as a horse more than he does me as a person, so I might as well let him focus on that. I'm staying with my parents right now and taking some time off work until I can clear my head. Can't sleep, so figured I might as well try and get this out of my system. It has helped, honestly. I'm also currently no contact with Kevin, and it'll be staying that way until I can serve him papers. Who knows what the future holds there, but he won't be in it. Though if you wanted some good news, I'm finally joining the OES. David explained to me, I can join via my grandfather, so I'm going to be meeting with the secretary next week. Thanks for being on this wild ride and helping me see reason. I guess I would probably have got here anyway when the WM messaged me, but it was nice to know I had people on here, and especially those who talked it through with me in DMs. You guys know who you are, and you were awesome. Otherwise, have a great day and peace out. Story 3. Was essentially asked to voluntarily resign today. How do I make them fire me and come out on top? First of all, yesterday I accidentally heard my very loud chair say, "We are letting her go by the end of the year," through the exec room door. I figured it was me, and I was right. Important, I have literally no co-workers. Small non-profit with 3 superiors and me on bottom. Today I got called in. A president tells me verbatim, "There is no good way to say this, but we will have to let you go." She went on to describe why. Not a good fit. I asked to make sure, and she confirmed I did nothing egregious, nor was there misconduct. She went on to give me some mostly BS feedback and then asked for me for my last day. I was somewhat caught off guard and confused. In my head I thought, "You just said I'm let go?" I asked more eloquently for clarity. She then leads with, "Oh well, we would like to pay you through January, 1 month." So I'm thinking, world's tiniest severance? But no, she continues. "So you would work through the end of January and I'd be happy to help you during that transitional period." She says she'll be happy to serve as my reference. I asked her point blank but politely, "Do you mean you're asking me to voluntarily resign?" She actually stuttered and said, No, we just want to know when your 2 weeks will be. Just think about whether or not you'd like to continue into January. No need to decide today." Am I right that they're trying to short me and save themselves? I'm thinking I need to start an electronic paper trail because other than a mediocre performance review 3 months ago, in retrospect it was an undefined PIP, this entire interaction was verbal. I feel like they're trying to trick me into quitting, right? Whole time she was as nice as can be. Notable comments. Deleted. Don't give them notice. Make them give you a firm, you're fired. Adventure_Husky. Email her. I appreciate the advance notice that I'm being let go at the end of January 2024. In response to the question if I would like to leave before then, I will be working as long as you allow me to. Have a good weekend, me, or whatever, but get that convo on the record, and continue to say you will work as long as they will let you if the conversation gets brought up again. Little Hops, you need to ask them for an official letter of termination. Say thank you for the advance notice, and I await a formal letter of termination. Update 1, same post. I sent essentially this with my personal email BCC'd. I appreciate the advance notice on date that I am being let go by organization, as it was not a good fit. I recall the organization offered an end date, either effective immediately or through the end of January 2024. Please do advise when I can expect my position end date and receive related termination paperwork. Got back. Actually, I was not thinking that you would leave immediately. What I indicated was that we hope you can stay through the end of January, if you would like. Or if you decide to leave sooner, we would appreciate you giving us 2 weeks' notice. Once you reply, I will send you something in writing. So, a couple of you mentioned it read as an indirect statement that meant I am being fired at the end of January, which this exchange seems to confirm. I just want to make sure my response to this makes it clear that none of this is my decision. It's frustrating that they're not just telling me when he'll be gone and withholding paperwork until another response from me. Update 2. Same post, December 20th, 2023, 5 days later. I replied to her once more, re-emphasizing that I am not quitting, and she finally responded with a termination letter, end date January 31st, 2024. It still mentions that I can still put in my 2 weeks anytime before that. The termination also stipulates that I would get PTO every Friday for January 2024. It's unpleasant that I'll have to work here another month, but at least I'll be paid. And I know it's because they want to buy themselves more time to find contractors to fill my position before they can find a new person, who, BTW, will have a completely different title and salary band. They are firing me for what is essentially restructuring but trying to duck out of paying unemployment and claiming I am underperforming, which is just by virtue that I simply couldn't become the person they need in their restructure. Final update, same post. April 4th, 2024, 4 months later. In case anyone will see this or is still following, I just accepted an offer this Friday with a salary bump, actual benefits, and a 35-hour work week. I am so grateful for a relatively short search and could not have done it without a close network of trusted friends, family, and mentors. It was still stressful AF, and I am actually still fighting for UI benefits I'm owed. As for the last org, they are floundering with no program staff and a president who is stepping down in a couple months. I honestly wonder how long, if they will last. It was a sinking ship no matter what. All to say, sometimes things like this are a push for the better. It doesn't make the period of instability any less stressful, but it really can be for the better. Sending good job vibes to all. My 21F best friend's 23F fiancé, 29M, is extremely inappropriate towards me. Throwaway because one of the people involved knows my personal account. I am at a loss for how to go about handling this situation in an appropriate manner. Any kind of advice would be greatly appreciated at this point. To make this easier, let's call my friend Kate and her fiancé John. I met Kate during my sophomore year of high school through mutual acquaintances. We became very close, so naturally, I was devastated when she moved several states away after graduating. Despite the distance, we kept contact and remained as good of friends as ever. About 2 years ago, My family happened to take a vacation in very close proximity to her new home. So, we excitedly planned to meet. It felt amazing to see her again. We both dashed out of our cars and hugged and squealed like stereotypical best friends. We hung out all evening and caught up with one another in person. Also, I had the chance to finally meet her fiancé of 1 year. I had heard only great things about this guy, and he seemed very pleasant. Shortly after returning home, I received a text message from an unknown number John. He thanked me for stopping by to see Kate, saying that it really lifted her spirits, and he hadn't seen her so happy in a long time. Understanding the personal issues Kate had been struggling with lately, I told him I was glad to have helped. I assumed Kate had given him my number and didn't think much else about it. John would text me here and there about little insignificant things. He'd mention a movie him and Kate were about to see and ask my opinion, or suggest to me a fun new video game they'd bought. I would answer his questions or respond to suggestions, but never carry on a conversation beyond the original topic. John would attempt to keep me talking, but I always dropped off, due in part to me not being very big on texting. More than a year after seeing Kate, I received a very late-night text from John saying, "I miss you." Assuming he had sent this to me by mistake, I ignored it. Fast forward to a month or so ago. I took a weekend trip to visit Kate. We had been planning this get-together for a while, and I was super excited to spend some much-needed girl time with her. I had been anticipating a chill weekend with my best friend, but nothing could have prepared me for the Twilight Zone shit I was about to walk into. Kate and John picked me up from the airport, and I was made to feel uncomfortable almost immediately. John had extended his arms for a hug upon my arrival, which I thought nothing of and accepted. He held me a bit too tightly and a bit too long, and then commented on how hot I looked. Not nice or even pretty, hot. I sort of just laughed awkwardly and looked towards Kate, who seemed to not be paying attention at the moment. I pushed this aside, chalking it up to a social fluke on his part, and enjoyed the rest of my day with them. The daylight hours went smoothly, save for John suggesting several times that we all get drunk that evening. Not being a drinker, I declined only to have him get a little pushy with it. I politely reaffirmed my opinion, and he eventually dropped it. After returning to their home, the three of us hung out in the family room and watched a bit of television. We all began talking, and somehow came to the topic of a pregnancy scare Kate had told me about a few months prior. John proceeded to tell me how stupid Kate was for the way in which she worried over a possible pregnancy. He said that he had told her several times that it was hardly possible and to stop being such a stupid fucking spaz over it. He went on to tell me that it was her own fault for forgetting her birth control and that it was bullshit for her to then expect him to use a condom. I was entirely thrown off at the way he had raised his voice and talked so rudely about my friend. I defended her, saying that it was an entirely legitimate thing to worry over, and that if she prefers that he wear a condom in order to be safe, that he should respect her wishes. He only laughed at me, and Kate stayed totally silent during the entire interaction. John then asked if I wanted to sleep in bed with him and Kate rather than in the guest room, which I found totally strange. I declined the offer and went to bed. The following morning, Kate and I had made plans to go shopping. She mentioned John wouldn't be with us because he had to work, which I was very grateful for. Before leaving the house, however, John stopped me and said, "You're a heavy sleeper." Confused, I gave a weird look and asked what he meant. He went on to say, "You're a heavy sleeper. You don't even wake up when people touch you." Now, normally, I would have interpreted this as someone possibly trying to rouse me earlier by tapping my shoulder or something along those lines. But the way in which John was smirking at me, and the inflection and emphasis he had put on the word touch, caused me to think otherwise. I asked John what the fuck he was talking about, and he only laughed, saying it was nothing. Now, I happen to take some relatively strong sleeping pills, which Kate is aware of. These knock me out pretty hard, but I believe I would have woken up given the chance that someone entered the room or touched me inappropriately. So I highly doubt anything actually happened. But the possibility of him groping me in my sleep makes me sick. Actually, the fact that he would say that to me just to cause anxiety makes me sick. I went on to try and enjoy my outing with Kate, which unfortunately didn't offer much solace. While stopped at a red light, Kate and I sat quietly as a group of pedestrians crossed the street. Kate made a comment on how beautiful one particular girl in the crowd happened to be. I agreed that she was a very pretty woman, only for Kate to suddenly spout out, "I'm not attracted to men." She had said this as if the words had been dying to leave her lips for years. I was pretty dumbfounded and caught off guard by the sudden confession, as I had never entertained the idea of Kate being a lesbian. She had mentioned once a short fling she shared with a girl in middle school, but claimed it to have been nothing more than a cry for attention. We joked about this here and there, but I never thought she could have been lying. I didn't answer due to lacking a decent response, so she followed up by blatantly telling me that she is a lesbian and that she doesn't love John. I asked Kate why on earth she would marry him then, and she only said, "Because I think it's what I should do." I tried to talk to her more about this, but she then told me she would prefer the subject be dropped. At this point, I was counting down the hours to my flight home the next morning, and after hearing John would be joining us for dinner, I was even more eager to get away. After meeting up with him, the three of us began walking into the restaurant, only for me to catch John's hand veering dangerously close to my butt. I shifted away and he moved very quickly in an attempt to grab it. Luckily, I managed to jump to the side, leaving him with only his fingertips brushing my skirt. I told him to watch his fucking hands, and he just laughed again and made some kind of comment on my appearance and the fact that he couldn't help it. Dinner couldn't have gone by slower. I sat there hardly saying a word and wondering if I should just try and get a hotel room for the evening. However, my stupid self decided that I could make it one more night and save the cash. I told Kate that I was very tired the moment we got back to her place, but she insisted that I watch our favorite movie together before I have to go home. Unable to say no, the two of us head up to her room. Her roommate's bedroom is on the bottom floor next to the family room, so the television would have woken them up. About an hour into the movie, John comes in and asks to watch with us. Kate tells him, of course, and hardly 10 minutes passes before he's attempting to convince Kate and I to kiss. I say no repeatedly and just keep looking at the screen. Kate isn't saying a damn word about it, and John actually starts pleading with us to just kiss really quick, so I tell him to shut up and that he's ruining the movie. A couple more minutes of silence pass by until John outright asks if I'd like to sleep with him. The way that he went about asking was as if he had deluded himself into thinking he was fucking irresistible to me. I told him no, and pointed out the fact that Kate was sitting right next to me. I looked at her, expecting some kind of response, but it was obvious that she'd totally spaced out at this point. John informed me that Kate was fine with sharing him. He continued to badger me and insisted that I show him some appreciation for allowing me to stay in his home. I looked at Kate and asked her, "How the fuck are you okay with this?" She looked as if she was unable to hear me, staring straight ahead with dull eyes. I got up to leave, only for John to attempt to block the door. Mind you, I'm a 5-foot-tall, 100-pound girl being physically blocked by a very large man. I tell John firmly to move only for him to once again say that I owe him. I took my chances and shouldered my way past him. Luckily, he didn't do much but attempt to grab me as I exited the room. I gathered my things quickly and got the hotel room. Kate never even acknowledged what happened. I think she may be suffering from either John's abuse or some kind of mental disorder, which makes me feel bad for being angry with her. But I'm very angry that she sat by and did nothing while her fiancé was so aggressive with me. Kate is aware that I was sexually assaulted in the recent past, and therefore am sensitive to such pushy advances. I talk to Kate very sparsely, and she doesn't seem to understand why. By coincidence, I happen to have accepted a role in an internship program close to the city she lives in. Within a month, I will be living in very close proximity to both her and John, and I need to figure out what to do. I want to help my friend. I'm afraid that she is experiencing abuse, living a lie by pretending to be heterosexual, and may possibly be suffering from some kind of mental illness. I have never been in a situation like this, and I'm at a complete loss. I don't want to see Kate after I move because that in turn means I'll see John. Any advice as to how I can help her and try to defuse this situation would be massively helpful. TLDR, Best friend's fiancé is inappropriate and aggressive towards me during weekend trip. Friend also claims to be a lesbian and is only marrying fiancé out of obligation. I'll be living close to them soon. Edit. Wow, my gosh, I just woke up and I had no expectations of this post blowing up so much. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for all of the advice and support. Seriously, you guys have no idea how much it means to me. I've decided to talk to Kate. I'm nervous as hell because I have no clue how she'll react, but I need to reach out to her. She has been there for me during trying times in my life. I want to be there for her. I know for a fact that John works tonight and Kate will accompany him sometimes and just sort of sit there and be idle all evening. I should have recognized this as weird earlier, but I don't know if she's going tonight. I asked if she'd like to Skype this evening, and she responded with, "Why do you want to talk to me all of a sudden?" I told her I'd just like to catch up and apologized for being so busy as of late. Haven't received an answer just yet, but I'll try my best to update tonight if we get the chance to talk. Once again, thank you everyone. I'll try to respond to as many comments as possible. I'm not receiving any good advice from those close to me, so this is insanely beneficial. Edit 2. Skyping with Kate tonight. She agreed a lot more excitedly than I had anticipated, judging by her preceding texts. We chatted for just a little bit afterward, and oddly, she brought up the fact that she had recently watched Rush and commented on how hot Chris Hemsworth is. I was a bit thrown off for obvious reasons, given that she had not only confessed to being lesbian, but verbatim told me she's not attracted to men. Maybe I'm reading too far into it, so I just agreed that yes, Chris Hemsworth is indeed gifted and told her I couldn't wait to talk tonight. I'm still very nervous. Relevant comment? Evan Wash here. Obviously, there is no way to know what Kate was doing without her telling you herself. From my opinion, it sounds like Kate is only attracted to girls. Maybe she promised him that she would hook up with you in front of him, hence his asking you two to kiss, and made him think that he had a shot with you too. Maybe she was embarrassed and too fearful of your reaction to say anything. Or this could have all been his idea. Nevertheless, it's creepy as hell. To tell a girl that she owes him for him allowing to be a guest there is so damn rapey. That along with the whole mystery of the touching while sleeping thing, solidifies that I would stay the hell away from them. O.P. Others have suggested to me that she may have been trying to initiate a threesome. She hadn't spaced out by the time John started asking us to kiss. She was just looking at me wordlessly. No matter what, I am never ever going near him again unless it's to get Kate and take her somewhere away from him. Update September 13th, 2016, 8 months later. So, I know my original post is super old, but I received an invitation to Kate and John's wedding today. It reminded me of this whole thing. And more importantly, the fact that I never really thanked everyone for all your supportive comments and advice. Asterisk. Thank you very, very much. Asterisk. Plenty of people had been asking for an update, but honestly I became so busy with prepping to move that Reddit was not on my list of priorities. So, on to the update. I went through with the Skype chat as planned. Luckily, I had successfully caught Kay alone. We small-talked for hardly a minute, because my nerves were buzzing and I wanted to get this over with. I jumped right to it and explained to her why I'd been distancing myself, that John's behavior was seriously concerning. I listed to her the exact events that had made me feel uncomfortable both for her safety and mine. She listened in dead silence, as I'm certain this had not been her expectation for our chat. After I'd finished, I asked why she would want to spend her life with this man, especially since she'd confided in me her sexual orientation. Kate broke down pretty quickly, and to sum it up, she's been in love with me since high school. I can't put into proper words how I feel about this part. Yes, as some of you had suggested, Kate and John had been trying to set up a threesome the entire weekend I was there. I asked her whose idea it had been, and she said it was hers, but that John was incredibly excited at the suggestion. She admitted to having planned the entire thing out with John before even inviting me to visit. She said they planned to see if the intimacy would come naturally, and then try and initiate if that were not the case. I asked her why she was okay with John acting so coercive, and she said he'd promised to make it happen no matter what, after I hadn't caught the hint the past 2 nights. She said she felt desperate to be with me intimately and would do anything for that to happen. I asked her even if it meant having to force me, and she said maybe so, but I would enjoy it eventually. That I would probably have just given in, and she could join if John had followed through. Not gonna lie, this made me feel fucking sick, but I set those feelings aside and told her very gently that I don't reciprocate her romantic feelings, but I still care for her as a friend. I told her that I feared for her safety and happiness and only wanted to help. Well, that completely flipped a switch. Honestly, I've never seen Kate angry. She's a passive person to a fault, but holy shit did she lose it on me. Kate made a total 180 and began making accusations that didn't make sense, that I was trying to steal John away from her and that I can't have him, that his sexual aggression towards me, as well as my past sexual assault, was directly my fault due to how I dress and present myself, that all her insecurities are my fault because she has to put up with John talking about how I look and asking why she can't act more like me. I enjoy doing my makeup and hair, wearing dresses and heels when I go out, while Kate wears only baggy clothing and does nothing to her hair or face. It's always been this way. We just have different styles. Anyhow, she ended her tirade telling me to kill myself so honestly, I hung up after that. I feel as though Kate is dealing with issues that are far out of my league to assist with, and I couldn't continue speaking to her. My internship is over now, so I'm home and away from both of them. During my internship, they both attempted to contact me multiple times, but I always deleted the messages. Kate simply ignored what had transpired between us and asked why I wouldn't speak to her. Then John made a few jokes about kidnapping me. I only saw the both of them once during my entire internship. I had the chance to attend a large pop culture convention, and I was seriously so stoked about it despite having no friends to go with. Luckily, I found a couple girls on Facebook through my internship group page who were also looking for people to go with. I knew for a fact Kate and John would be going, as they attend every year. Plus, the costume I chose to wear was near unmissable, so I was certain they would notice me. But honestly, I was not about to let them spoil the event for me and went anyhow. I gave the girls a rundown of the situation, and they all assured me they had my backs. Lo and behold, as I'm standing in an autograph line with my friend, who hugs me from behind but John. I basically went into spaz mode and flailed until he let go. Dickweed acted confused. Kate was right beside him, being quiet. I'd like to say that I told him off like a champ, but I didn't. I was scared, honestly, so I just ran. I was wearing massive heels, so I had to do that weird crouch move where you're not really running, but more so fast walking like a werewolf. A couple of the girls followed me to make sure I was good. Never saw them again. I know the general consensus was to not cut Kate out of my life, but I honestly do not believe either of them are safe to be around. I feel that Kate is dealing with something beyond what I can assist with, and my personal safety needs to come first. Obviously, I'm not going to the wedding. Thank you for all the helpful advice and support I received on my previous post. Story 4. Story 5. Aida for not accommodating Sill's food allergy. 38M, married with 3 kids. Recently, my mom turned 65 and begged to see her kids' grandchildren on her birthday. I have an older brother who's married with 4 kids, ages 2, 12, only youngest 2 are his, and a much younger brother, 23, who's single. My wife and I offered to host a weekend get-together. My older brother had to work late the first night, but his wife Emily, fake name, offered to come earlier in the day with the kids and cook dinner for everyone. Emily is a great cook, and her parents own a local restaurant that's well known for a dish they serve once a month. Emily is the chef for that dish, and my wife and I have had it, but my mom and brother haven't tried it. I asked Emily when she arrived that day if she would make the dish, and she agreed. I had most of what she needed, but I told her to text my younger brother for any extra items, and I would pay for them. Dinner went great. Food was wonderful. But at some point, my mom took a picture of her plate and sent it to my older brother with a caption that said something like, "You're missing out," and then it all went to shit. The reason Emily only makes this dish once a month at the restaurant is because she's highly allergic to one of the main ingredients. Her parents are weirdly protective of the recipe and won't let anyone else cook it. I assumed this was common knowledge within my family, but she and my brother have only been together about 5 years, so maybe it hasn't come up. In any case, my brother was furious that I asked her to make it. My little brother said I was disgusting, and my mom dramatically claimed that I put her in danger. Frankly, I think the reaction was ridiculous. She's a grown woman and clearly knows how to manage her allergy. It's not like she ate it. Also, Emily didn't seem upset about anything and was off watching a movie with all the kids, so didn't hear any of this. I kind of thought it had blown over after a couple hours, until my older brother got there around midnight and found Emily in the kitchen eating some cereal. He told me it was bullshit that I made her cook a meal she can't eat and then let her eat cereal. Again, this woman is a grown-up. She could have asked my little brother to get her something else to cook for herself, but she didn't. At that point, I was tired. My wife had cleaned the kitchen and Emily had gotten the kids in bed. So when my older brother pulled out a chicken breast saying he was going to cook something for Emily, I put my foot down and said no. I feel like my family baby's Emily as it is. Lots of reasons for this, I understand it, but it's frustrating. And I wasn't willing to let my brother make another mess cooking a whole other meal at 12 a.m. The whole rest of the weekend was awkward and strained and basically ended with my mom and younger brother telling me that I ruined the whole get-together. Do I not get to set boundaries in my own house? Relevant comment? Rogue bitch. Wow, YTA. Why didn't you let her eat? The comment about everyone babying her makes me think you may be telling only part of the story. I wasn't not letting her eat. She had some cereal. My family, especially my brother, get defensive and baby her for a lot of reasons, and some of them are good. Emily's family is tough on her, and she has trouble saying no to things. But she's an adult, and she has to learn to do that, otherwise things like this happen. I think my brain broke trying to work this out. Emily is an adult, right? She could have said, "I'll happily make that dish, but I'll need something else to eat for myself." Or, "I don't want to spend the whole day cooking something I can't eat." Did Emily ever say she was upset about this? I feel like her opinion on this is the only thing that matters. Having said that, you say in your post she didn't eat any of it. You didn't think it was weird that she cooked all day and then sat not eating anything at a family dinner? Did nobody else notice this or think it was weird? This is the first Ada post about food allergies I've read where the person cooked their own poison. Wow. Right, she could have said either of those things. She never seemed upset, no. She knows how much people like that dish. I do know that she's tried to stop making it at the restaurant, but it caused fights with her parents. I don't think making it for family is the same thing. Once she finished cooking, she served my mom and my wife, then went off to get her kids and mine settled with a movie. I think we just assumed she would eat later on. Was OOP aware of the SEL's allergy? I did know about her allergy. She's cooked it for my wife and I before. It was my mom and younger brother that weren't aware. I guess I just thought she would cook something for herself at the same time. Or maybe eat what the kids had earlier in the night. She's not the kind of person to complain about things later. She's incredibly kind. I feel like it sounds like I don't like her. I do. Bitte Nadette. Wait. So she cooked for the kids, then cooked this? And you expected her to either eat with the kids or cook another separate meal? You really did fuck up. You treated her like a servant. They refused to let her get fed properly when someone else tried to rectify your mistake. You took advantage in the worst way and then blamed it on her because she has trouble saying no. Hosting 101. Look after your guests. Make sure they have a somewhere to sleep and are fed correctly. You failed big time on that alone. You wouldn't do that to someone you don't really know. Why the hell is it acceptable to your sister? And then you are commenting on here blaming her for not sticking up for herself and saying no? It was your mistake not making sure she was fed. It was your fault for choosing a meal she couldn't eat. And it was your fault she went to bed hungry because your precious kitchen was clean. You want a host? Be a host. Don't have a hissy fit because you dropped the ball. Don't have a hissy fit because your boundaries got broken while someone tried to fix your pickup. And stop taking advantage of people's kindness. I saw your first post title, by the way. Stopping visitors cook after midnight in my house is a wee bit different to this one, almost as if you tried to make yourself look better. It didn't work. Oh, and reading your other comments, You even know she's trying to stop cooking that dish and has issues with her parents about it. Come on. Family shouldn't make her cook something she doesn't want to cook if it's that serious she's fighting about it. OP. Okay, I get what you're saying. And maybe I'm being defensive and doubling down. I don't want her to feel like a servant. I do think she's a good person. She's wonderful to my brother. I just didn't get why she didn't just eat something else, but I guess I could have acknowledged it or offered her something. Someone else pointed out in another comment, too, that she was helping with my kids and hers, so she may have been too busy to make anything else. On what the special dish was. Galpalnikki. OP made a comment that the allergy is peanuts, so I'm thinking pad thai. OP. It's similar, but it's a unique dish. I've never had anything like it anywhere else. The restaurant is upscale, gourmet international food. It's very expensive, and I was trying to treat my mom to the dish they're locally renowned for. In retrospect, this was stupid. And this gem of a comment, OOP. I feel like this is a terrible time to mention that she doesn't get paid at the restaurant. I get it. I'm a dick and was really in the wrong here. I'm going to apologize. January's daughter. She doesn't get paid for handling poison all day? What is wrong with her family? Verdict, asshole. OP updated the next day, July 17th, 2020. Asterisk edit and update. I can see that I'm definitely the AH, got it. I showed my wife this post and the replies this morning. She hasn't commented much on this situation and said today it was because she was so embarrassed by my behavior that she didn't know what to say. But she agreed with almost everyone. I called Emily this morning, and my brother answered her phone. I talked to him for about an hour and then was able to apologize to Emily. She explained that she said yes to cooking because she knew how much I liked the dish, and also she doesn't think I like her that much, so she was worried I would be upset if she said no. My brother also explained that her allergy has topical effects as well, and the cooking process gets the allergen everywhere, which is why she hates cooking it so much, and also why she can't make anything else for herself at the same time. Please note that I know I was the asshole even without this info. It just makes it worse. It also makes me look at the situation with her parents differently because they've been having her make this meal for years and downplaying the skin reactions like it's not a big deal. I work in a really cutthroat, callous environment. It's not an excuse to be thoughtless with my family, but I do think it's had some clear effects in my general attitude toward other people. I do like Emily. She improved my brother's life profoundly when they got together, which is part of why my family loves her like they do. Emily was more gracious accepting my apology than I deserve. But she did also tell me that she won't be accepting invites to my house again for a while, which I think is fair. I was mad at first reading a lot of the comments, but I needed the reality check. Thanks. Relevant comment. OP. I've accepted I'm the AH here and agree that if I really wanted her to make this dish, I should have offered to make her something separately. There are a lot of comments about my brother and my mom that aren't sitting well with me, but there are things that were left out, so that's understandable. Just want to clarify that my younger brother and mom both helped in the kitchen and with the kids. They also spent a lot of time hanging out with Emily while she cooked. Zen is a banana. That doesn't make this better. Having people hang out with you while trying not to have an allergic reaction does not improve things. You still don't get it. You shouldn't have asked her to make it in the first place, you doorknob. ITEA. OP. I do get that and have said it multiple times. You're not understanding that my comment is in defense of my family who didn't know about her allergy. I'm well aware that I fucked up, but I see a lot of comments about my mom and little brother that are negative, so I was clarifying their position. Danimals 3. Info. You've already accepted judgment, so I just have to ask. Why didn't you let your brother make his wife some chicken? I know what you said, but really you must have been ticked off in the moment to dig your heels in like that. Why would you instinctively make that call? I think this is where a clue might lie to what kind of person you are in general. I'm genuinely curious as to why you punished this woman like this. Oopie. Selfish reasons. I don't generally like having guests and find it really stressful to have even family over. We offered to host for my mom's birthday because our house is the biggest and due to COVID we didn't want anyone in a hotel. Usually I rent 2 Airbnbs down the street and that's where everyone congregates. They're not taking guests right now, but I thought what's one weekend with people over? I got stressed out, and by the time my brother got there, I just wanted everyone out of the common areas. I get the problems with this. But that's what I was thinking at the time. It had nothing to do with not wanting her to eat. I was just frustrated. More info on the SIL's allergy. I learned more about the situation at the restaurant this morning. It makes me more of an asshole, but I can see I'm the AH here regardless. I clearly don't know much about food allergies either. My brother explained this morning that Emily's allergy, peanuts, is not just triggered by eating them. Cooking this dish requires her to crush peanuts into a paste, and she has a very hard time doing that without ending up with a painful rash somewhere where they made contact with her skin. I did not know this. Not that it makes it that much better. My wife and I hadn't talked about it until this morning, and she read over these replies, agreeing with most of them, and letting me know that she had been so embarrassed by my behavior, she didn't know what to say. Algaro Sensi. I'm glad you're accepting criticism. In the beginning, why were you saying the family babies you're a SIL? O.P. So, that was my wife's least favorite part of the post. I tried justifying it to her, and that did not go well for me. After asking me when I turned into such a narcissistic jerk-off, my wife pointed out that Emily consistently goes above and beyond for her family and ours without one complaint. So my family is simply returning her kindness and also just showing they love her by normal things like caring about her wants and needs. Of course, this makes sense. And I don't have a good explanation for why I decided to view it negatively. It's not about Emily. I've had a strained relationship with my mom and siblings in the past. Maybe it's just residual from that. But in this case, I was wrong.